Hello children, now we are going to do a recapitulation on the chapter People as Resources. Now in the previous chapter, that is the story of Palampur, we have studied the factors of production. The first one is land, second one is labor, third one is physical capital, which is further divided into fixed and working capital, and the last one is human capital. In this chapter, we are going to concentrate about human capital. What do you mean people as resources? People as resources is nothing but the working class of people in the society, that is between the age group 15 to 59 in terms of their existing skill and ability. What do you mean by human capital formation? When this working class of people or when this existing human resources becomes more educated and more healthy, we can call it human capital formation. Now let's see this picture. Here we can see Japan and different countries in Africa. As we all know, the countries in Africa are rich in natural resources, but Japan does not have much natural resources. It has to import natural resources from other countries. But if you see from the world's point of view, Japan is a highly developed country and countries in Africa are considered to be developing, underdeveloping countries. Why is this so? Because Japan has got a very high working force. The people are highly educated and very healthy when compared to Africa, where the people are not much educated and not very healthy. So from this we can conclude that a highly educated and healthy workforce helps in the economic development of the country. Now let's look at this flow chart. The economic activities are divided into two, based on the nature of activity, based on the purpose of activity. Based on the nature of activity, it is further classified into primary, secondary, and tertiary. Based on the purpose of activity, it is market and non-market activity. Now, what do you mean by economic activity? Economic activity is related to production, distribution, exchange of goods and services with the view to make it available to the consumer. According to the nature of activities, it can be divided into primary. Primary is called the agriculture sector. It is where the raw materials are produced. The next one is the secondary. It is also called industrial or the manufacturing sector, where these raw materials are converted into finished product. The last sector is the tertiary sector. This sector has wide range of activities, starting from transportation, banking, storage facility, etc. This sector actually helps both the primary and the secondary sector. Now let's look at it on the purpose of activities. Like I said, first one is market activity. Market activity involves remuneration to anyone who does the work. In short, I can say it is an activity done for payment or profit. The non-market activity is basically self-consumption. It does not involve any payment. Here again, I would like to quote an example of an agriculture sector. If the agriculture or if the farming is done with the intention of selling the crops, then this activity becomes a market activity. Whereas if the farming or the cultivation is done to meet only the family requirements, it is a non-market activity. Now let's look at the role of women in our society. Earlier, women were considered as nurturers, caretakers. They were expected to give birth, take care of their family and house. But today, the situation has changed. They not only work inside the house but also outside. They also contribute to the income of the family. Now let's look at women working in an organized sector and an unorganized sector. Women working in an unorganized sector has to put in the same amount of time and has to do the same type of work that the men of an organized sector does. But unfortunately, they are not paid equal wages. Here, there's a discrimination shown between the men and the women of an unorganized sector. Now let's look at the women working in an organized sector. They also put in the same amount of time and does the same work as the men in an organized sector. But when it comes to payment of salary, they are paid equally as the men in an organized sector. Now let's look into the quality of population. Quality of population is divided into two, or is being based into two: good health and good education. A person who is educated and healthy is considered to be an asset for the country, family, and society. But a person who is uneducated or unhealthy is considered to be a liability for his family, society, and also country. Why is education so important? An educated person can get lot of job opportunities. This will help him to improve not only his standard of living but also the standard of living of his people and his family members, and this will lead to an overall development of the country. An educated person also will possess good values. This will make him a very good human being. Like I said earlier, an educated person will get lot of job opportunities, and good job leads to good income. And this good income will lead to a rise in the national income of the country. Now let's look into the steps taken by the government to improve the education system in India. First one is Navodaya Vidyalaya. Navodaya Vidyalaya is a chain of schools found in the rural sector to improve the education standards in the rural area. The next one is Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. This is a significant step towards providing elementary education to all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years. It is a time-bound initiative of the central government along with the partnership with the state. The last one is midday meal scheme. Midday meal scheme has been implemented to encourage attendance and retention of children and improve their nutritional status. To judge the health of a population, we have to consider these four parameters or criteria. First one is the life expectancy rate. What do you mean by life expectancy rate? It is the average period that a person is expected to live. Next one is the infant mortality rate. It's the number of deaths under 1 year of age per 1,000 live birth. Birth rate, number of live birth per 1,000 people in a year. Death rate, number of death per 1,000 people per year. Keeping these parameters, we can judge whether the population of a country is healthy or not. What do you mean by the word unemployment? Unemployment means when a person who is the age of 15 to 59 years who is willing to work at a decent salary or at acceptable wages but cannot find a job. Unemployment leads to wastage of manpower resources. People who are an asset for the economy turns out to be a liability. Now let's look into the different types of unemployment. The first one is seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment happens when people are not able to find jobs during some months of the year. This is basically found in the agriculture sector. The next one is Disguised unemployment. Disguised unemployment, people appears to be employed. Let's take an example of an agriculture activity. For this agriculture activity, only 5 members are needed, but they have engaged 8 people. So, 3 people are extra. These 3 people does not contribute anything extra to this activity, nor if they are removed, the production level will not be affected. The last one is an educated unemployment. Educated unemployment are mostly found in the cities where people are highly educated, but they are not able to find job according to their educational degree. Now let's look at the social impact of unemployment. Like I said earlier, unemployment leads to wastage of manpower resources. Unemployment turns the population into a liability instead of asset. The youth will start creating a sense of hopelessness in their mind. Now, unemployment becomes a burden for the economy. It also has an adverse effect in the quality of life of an individual as well as the society. So overall, we can conclude that an unemployment affects the economic growth of the country. Now children, we come to the end of the chapter. I hope each and every concept is crystal clear now. Thank you.